Hey guys, I think today I'm going to try to make some jalapeno bacon and cheddar cornbread. I'm going to use that to go along with the dinner I'm going to make this evening. I'm out here in the back of the yard doing some yard work and stuff, and was just thinking of maybe some camping meals to do. So today I'm going to make some cornbread, and I'll show you how I do that. This one's one of my favorites, and our daughter, she really likes it. So every time she comes up from Georgia or other places she's lived, then it's on the list of things that I must make while she's here. So give me a couple minutes, and I'm going to apologize in advance. My neighbor up the hill, he's mowing the yard again, so periodically you'll have his mower as a background noise. And I'm sorry, I can't do much about that. But anyhow, give me a couple minutes to get the rest of my stuff set up, and I'll show you how I do my cornbread in the Dutch oven. Okay, I've got 12 coals going here. I'm going to put them down in 4 little rows of 3. Or, yeah, 4 little rows of 3. And probably should have done this part first, but yeah, let's try this again. Or at least half of it. There we go. All right, here we go again. Okay, and then I'm going to use the lid from my large 10-inch Dutch oven as a griddle to fry the bacon. So I'm going to let that heat up for a couple minutes, and then go inside and get my bacon. And I'm going to render the bacon down to really just little crumblies, and I want to reserve as much of the bacon grease as I can. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then after this is done, the rest of it just mixing the batter together and baking it. So be back in just a couple minutes. Okay, so that's been heating up probably a good 5 minutes or better, I'm guessing. And you can feel the heat coming off the surface of it here. So what I've got 6 pieces of bacon. It's kind of rendering it down, just sitting in the bowl. It's pretty hot out here today. It's just right at 90 degrees. So I'm gonna cut them in half so they have a little bit more room. Maybe. And mostly I want the fat, and then of course the bacon itself. So I use the fat for the oil that is the cornbread recipe calls for. And this helps add bacon flavor to the to the meal. I think that is about as much as I'm going to get on there at the moment until some of these shrink down. And, oh, yes, I want to show you this. I'm giving it its debut today. I'm not so sure how well it's going to work as a bacon stirrer, but we'll see. One thing that I've always wanted to learn how to do is some basic blacksmithing and stuff. I also want to learn how to weld. I don't know how at the moment, but anyhow, I was teaching myself a couple weeks back ago some basic blacksmithing stuff, and this is what the first item that I have ever blacksmithed. So it was a small piece of rebar, and I've turned it into just a little two-pronged fork. So anyhow, that is my my first blacksmithing item. And so that is that. And I guess it's going to work okay. It's working at the moment. I just don't want to scratch up my iron too much, but alright, so that's all my bacon pieces and my little fork. So I'm going to let this cook, and then once it's all cooked down and captured the fat and everything, ready to put the batter together, then I'll, sorry I keep wanting to look at that camera, and I really should be looking at this camera. But yeah, once all this is ready to become cornbread, then I'll get back with you here in a few minutes. Almost done. Okay, so I think my bacon is about done. I did have to add some more coals to it, and I think the gap between the coals I had and the lid itself was too much of a gap to get good heat out of it. So I went ahead and added some more. So let me get some of these bacons off of here. So I'll let him sit there for just a couple minutes, save him for last. Get some of these good crispy ones done. My little fork didn't do too bad in the stirring of the bacon and everything. I'm kind of pleased with it and definitely proud of it. That's my little backwoods fork now. And let's get this bacon off of here. I'm gonna collect as much of the, oh, it's getting hot. Collect as much of the oil as I can, and then get the rest of the ingredients together, and then get back with you after that. But for the there we go. Gosh, I am just pouring sweat. Okay, so that's all of my bacon. Whew. Are you recording? Okay. Now we'll harvest as much of this grease as we can. And let me set that right there. That is hot. Even with gloves, that was hot. Alright, so I am going to start a new batch of coals because I need enough to make a 425 degree oven. And then I'm going to gather the rest of the ingredients, and I'll be back in a few minutes. We'll assemble this cornbread and get it baking. Okay, you know what's funny about coals, because you look at them once and you got plenty of time, then you look at them again and you got to rush. So anyhow, I've got my dry ingredients, and I will put the recipe up in the comment, well, not in the comment section, but in the description section of this video. So right now it is all my dry ingredients. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my jalapenos. Good enough. Cup and a half of milk. Well, actually that's buttermilk, but regular milk would be fine also. It's it doesn't matter so much. I like it better with buttermilk myself, but a whole egg. And I'll put that there for the time being. It's supposed to be a third of a cup of cheese. I like a quarter cup. For one, it's easier math. I buy the cheese in an 8-ounce in 2-cup sections. So anyhow, it works out better. I'm sorry, did I say a third of a cup and a quarter cup? I'm sorry, I'm rushing. I meant 3 ounces and 4 ounces. So it was easier for me to, math-wise, to do it in 4-ounce increments. I'm gonna go ahead and blend this just a little bit. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to get it super smooth. Matter of fact, the less you blend it around, the better off. Okay, so that's that. It doesn't matter if there's a few lumps or not. And let me come over here real quick. Here's our the bacon that we had earlier. I'm going to go ahead and just crumble that up. Kind of easy when it's wrapped up in a bandana. And pour that in there. And the only thing else left, I did not bring a measuring cup with me. Calls for a quarter cup. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I did not bring a measuring cup with me, and I'm sitting here staring at one. Does not matter so much. 1/4 cup of the oil. And I kept the bacon grease. So here's our bacon grease from earlier that we rendered down. And probably right at a 1/4 cup. Cool. So there is that. And sorry, I'm rushing because I got somehow I got behind myself with the coal, so I don't want to lose any of that heat that I had built up. So there it is. All my dry ingredients, like I said, I'll put that recipe up in the description section. It is yellow cornmeal, white cornmeal, yellow cornmeal, white flour, baking powder, sugar, and some salt. And I'll put the proportions in there. So let me put this down for a quick second. Get my little Dutch oven stand back up here. I do have my Dutch oven caked in shortening. That's called a standing white, and I want it the whole oven that way. I would normally do the lid too, but we cooked the bacon in the lid, so it's got plenty of grease on it already. And the coals are far more done than I would like, but here we go. So I'm going to put 7 on the bottom. Keep them on the edges of so that would be on the edge. So all your heat's going to ride up the side, across the bottom, but without any direct heat. And the cornbread batter. And a new neighbor cutting grass. There we go. Now it's the lid. Still got a pretty good amount of grease on it. It is not going to rise enough to touch it anyhow, so that's good. And then, ow, that is hot. Dumb. And 17 coals across the top. Whew. 425 degrees across the rim. 2 at the handles. Really dumb. Do not put your tongs in the same pile of hot coals as you're retrieving from. All right, now I can slow down. 25 minutes. Alrighty, it's been 27 minutes, and for the likes of me, I cannot. This is the second video where I have forgot my lid lifter. I had specifically had it set aside, and I do not see where I put it. So it's either in the house or on the porch somewhere, but either way, I have no idea what I did with it. A lot of times I look to see if I can see little tufts of steam poking out of the sides of the oven, which today I do not. And let's see what we got going on here. It's okay. It needs to go. Ooh, that is hot on that side. It needs to go a little bit longer. Let's see if you can. You can probably. Yeah, you can probably see here. What I'm looking for is to pull apart on the edges. Sorry, that's hot on the finger still. Pull it apart on the edges, and then a lot of times then what I'll do then is just remove it from the bottom heat and pack everything on the top just to brown the top up some. But it's a good sign once it's pulling apart from the edges that it is done. So I'm going to let that go. And these coals. I'm going to let that go a few minutes more, probably another 5, and we'll come back and check on it then. I found my lid lifter, believe it or not, between my wife and her computer bag and my cat. It became nested underneath it. So anyhow, I've got my lid lifter. Let's check on this guy now. Alrighty, I don't think it's going to brown up the way I want it to, but it is pulling apart from the edges. And let me find my little fork here. I'm actually pretty pleased with this little fork today. It is coming out clean. So what I'm going to do is pull it from bottom heat. And they're really gone. And pile all this heat on top of the lid. And let that go a few more minutes. I apologize in advance because I am pretty sure that this cornbread is not going to get the little brownsies and stuff in it that make that picture perfect cornbread, but I doubt nonetheless that it's not going to taste much different. It might not just be as attractive. So I'm going to let that go another 5 minutes at least, and maybe as much as 10, and then we'll check on it then. Excuse me. So it's been, yeah, right at 10 more minutes. So let's take a peek here. I'm looking at the size of them coals. I'm not thinking they're throwing a whole lot more heat back down on there, so I'm pretty optimistic that it's not going to be exactly what I'm looking for, but nonetheless it should be done. It just, well, anyhow, should be done. So let's take a peek at it real quick. Well, you know, really don't look that bad. It's cracking. That's a good sign. It is pulled apart from the edges some. That's a good sign. So, being that the rest of dinner is really just about done, I'm just going to let that be as it is. Let me dump my ashes off the lid real quick, and I'm just going to call that a meal that the cornbread that is done. So, I did not bring a cake pan out here with me, but what I like to do usually is just break it up from the bottom. And I do not know if any of the camera microphones are picking this up or not, but I can tell you it is lifting away from the bottom. So I know it's done. It just doesn't have that nice little golden brown crispies on top of it, but there we go. My my jalapeno, cheddar, and bacon cornbread. And I want to thank you for watching this video that I'm making today. And thank you for being with me this evening. And until next time, we'll see you in the woods.